From the Ministry of the Presidency in Georgetown, this is This Week with the President.
Welcome to This Week with the President, a news magazine which provides you with an in-depth look at the policies, programs, and work of the President of Guyana. We are returning after a short break, and this edition will focus on the President's activities from April 30th to May 31st. In the highlights, President advances interests of small states at inaugural Arabic Islamic American Summit in Saudi Arabia. Guyana celebrates 51st independence anniversary. President warns against partisan interests taking precedence at the municipal level. And 31 women included in this year's national awardees list. Those stories and more on this week's program. On May 26, 1966, after years of colonial rule followed by political and social upheaval and conflict, Guyana became a free country from British rule. On May 26, 2017, the country ushered in its 51st independence anniversary, celebrating 51 years of hard work, sacrifices, challenges, and successes. As the country celebrates this significant milestone, the President emphasized the need for inclusivity and cohesiveness that is reflective of the diverse peoples in which every social stratum can enjoy equality and ultimately a better quality of life.
The Free State that we established on the 26th of May 1966 recognized our commitment to social cohesion through which we learn to accept and respect each other's values and beliefs and to share the common space we all call our homeland. The Free State is one that is free from discrimination. It is one that is built on the basis of respect for cultural diversity, political inclusivity, and social equality. The Free State recognizes our common and complex heritage. It reminds us of Chinese Arrival Day, celebrated on the 12th of January, of Portuguese Arrival Day, celebrated on the 3rd of May, of Indian Arrival Day, celebrated on the 5th of May, of African Emancipation Day, celebrated on the 1st of August, and of Indigenous Heritage Month, observed throughout September. The Free State recommits us to dismantling the divisions of geography, disparities between hinterland and coastland, and between rural and urban communities eventually must be eliminated so that no group feels excluded.
The head of state said that the Guyanese society needs to be strengthened in every occupational sector in each geographical region and in each community so that the true significance of independence can be realized.
The cohesive state is not a political expedient. It can be realized only by respecting the differences and the diversity of society and by the removal of anger, hatred, ignorance, and poverty. It can be created by mutual respect for each other's cultural and religious differences. Guyana's national tapestry is composed of the variegated threads, culture and ethnicity and faith of our peoples. The national tapestry is stronger because it is weaved from our separate but sturdy strands. It is more resilient because it represents and reflects the talents of different groups.
The President noted, too, that independence bequeathed the Guyanese a state through which they became heirs of a magnificent patrimony, and it is against this background that the transitioning into a green state should be seen.
The green state is a natural product of our verdant and luxuriant environment. Our ecosystems, our coastland, hinterland, highlands, islands, wetlands, grasslands, lakes, rivers, rainforests, and waterfalls are our birthright. Our biodiversity is the endowment of our ancestors, the patrimony of all Guyanese, and the bequest we hold in trust for posterity. The green state can flourish and can furnish a good life for generations to come by engendering a spirit of shared social responsibility.
At midnight on May 25, 1966, the Union Jack, the symbol of British colonial rule for 163 years, was lowered, and the new flag of Guyana, the golden arrowhead, was raised to the top of the mast. Just before the flag-raising ceremony, before a huge crowd, Prime Minister Mr. Forbes Burnham and opposition leader Dr. Cheddi Jagan publicly embraced each other. an iconic moment in the Guyanese history. 51 years later, the scene was of celebration and national pride. At midnight on Thursday, May 25, thousands of Guyanese turned up at the Durban Park to witness the hoisting of the Golden Arrowhead. President David Granger, First Lady Mrs. Sandra Granger, and other members of the First Family received a warm welcome from the crowd, who stood to their feet waving their flags and cheering loudly. The medley of national songs, dances, and a fusion of drums showcased in all its glory Guyana's rich cultural mosaic. At exactly midnight, the flag, the largest ever created, unfurled atop a 180-foot flagpole, which was the highlight of the evening's proceedings. Another major highlight was the release of this year's national awardees, which includes a record number of 31 women from various fields led by Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Madam Yonette Decina Cummings Edwards, who will be receiving the Order of Roraima, and Acting Chief Justice, Madam Alison Roxanne McLean George, will be conferred the Cacique Crown of Honor. As Guyanese congregated to celebrate this milestone, many were pleased that they could have witnessed the grand celebration. Though 74 years old, this Guyanese was out at the Durban Park at midnight, and as the country ushered in a new year of freedom, she had a wish for the people of Guyana.
Independence means for me, Yvonne Britain, love, unity, and to work hard to bring Guyana back to feel that Guyanese still wants more love, unity, and understanding to know what is the meaning of independence.
For this gentleman, it is a good thing to see Guyanese coming together to celebrate the country's independence.
Well, fantastic. You know, I'm pleased to see a lot of people out here this evening celebrate this big event. We've come a very long way, and I think it's only right for us as a nation to come here and celebrate as one people, one nation, one destiny. I say to everybody, let's unite and make Guyana great.
Transparency and accountability is the cornerstone of good governance, but more importantly, it is the prerequisite for economic growth and public confidence in the government which they elect. These values have been two of the top priorities of the President. Since taking office, he has been pushing several systems to ensure that the nation's business is handled with care, with accountability, and in a transparent manner. After consulting with opposition leader Mr. Bharat Jagdeo, President Granger appointed retired Justice Winston Patterson as the new ombudsman. The ombudsman serves as a watchdog guarding against abuse or the violation of citizens' rights by public officials and their departments and authorities, and is the public advocate.
The Constitution therefore vests the ombudsman with the authority to investigate claims of injustice suffered as a result of maladministration in government. The Constitution states further that the Ombudsman may investigate any action taken by any department of government, or by any action taken by any department of government, or by any other authority to which this article applies, or by the President. Ministers, officers, or members of such a department or authority, being action taken in exercise of the administration functions of that department or authority. The Ombudsman, quite correctly, has been described as a protector and defender of citizens against injustices caused by maladministration.
Justice Patterson said that he is honored to have been given the opportunity to once again serve the people of Guyana. Meanwhile, after being out of operation for more than 2 decades, the Guyana Public Service Appellate Tribunal was restored when a 3-member team headed by retired Judge Nandram Kisoon was sworn in by President Granger. Justice Nandram Kisoon, Ms. Abiola Wong Innis, and Mr. Winston Brown were appointed to the Public Service Appellate Tribunal. Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire and Mr. Patrick Yard to the Judicial Service Commission, and Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire and Justice Don Gregory as Justices of the Court of Appeal of Guyana. The President said that his government will continue to respect the authority and dignity of the judiciary and will support the efforts of the Judicial Service Commission in ensuring that vacancies are filled promptly in order to ensure respect for the recommendations for judicial appointments based on objective criteria which have been prescribed.
Judicial independence is essential to ensure the integrity of the rule of law. The rule of law requires that everyone should be subject to the law. It prescribes that no one should be above the law. Judicial independence acts to prevent the derogation from the rule of law. Respect for the rule of law is the foundation of a law-based society, one which can be sustained only by an independent judiciary. The government will continue to respect judicial independence.
With the appointment of the members to the JSC, the President said that the intention is to insulate judicial appointments from political partisanship and personal and other biases, while also ensuring that its recommendations for appointments of judicial officers are fair and objective.
The JSC is a mechanism which ensures that judicial officers will be appointed only on the basis of their competence and their integrity. The JSC is obliged to ensure that its recommendations for appointments of judicial officers flow from dispassionate and an objective process, that they are based on clearly defined criteria applied in assessing the appropriateness of appointees. The JSC upholds the independence of the judiciary and ensures by its diligence that judicial appointees possess the attributes, that they embody the personal values which make them capable of resisting being influenced by improper, partisan, and personal interests.
The President holds firmly to the view that the 9 municipalities which are established by the Constitution of Guyana must demonstrate to the people whom they have sworn to serve the values of representativeness, inclusiveness, and effectiveness, as he noted that there is no place for partisan or political interests and that the will of the people must take priority. The President was at the time delivering the feature address at the opening ceremony of the 2-day inaugural Municipal Conference 2017, which was held at the Marriott Hotel under the theme, Positioning Municipalities as Critical Partners in National Development. The head of state said that municipalities are responsible to their constituents who have elected them to office, and as such, the will of the people is paramount. He noted that they must exercise the authority which was given to them by the people in a democratic manner.
But one of the well-known quotations is, "The rising tide lifts all of the boats." And when the tide rises in China, everybody will benefit. When the tide rises in Bartica, everybody will benefit. No matter how committed you are to one party, or one race, or one religion, or one family, there's no way you can succeed in politics if you put partisan and personal interests ahead of the popular will. Sooner or later, the people themselves will get fed up and remove you.
The President told the municipal office holders that they cannot succeed in politics if partisan and personal interests are placed above popular will, as he reminded that they have been elected to serve by the people, and as such, performance will determine whether they are re-elected.
The country cannot be integrated unless the regions themselves are integrated. The country is not a collection of municipalities. The country is a collection of regions. And I've always insisted that we have to see government not as a group of people going to cabinet every Tuesday, but we have to see it as 3 levels of administration.
Speaking to his vision of having capital tongues established in regions 3, 4, and 5, the president told the regional officials that a concerted effort is required to make tongues thriving commercial hubs. In this regard, he noted that regional agricultural and commercial exhibitions can play an important role in developing these three regions, along with Bartica, Letem, and Mabaruma.
So the capital towns that we're talking about are vital to the integration of those regions. They're not just running their little boundaries. They're not just administering a few streets and putting up street lights and closing down discos at 2 o'clock. They're concerned with the whole region. If you're in Bartica, how does the Arakuna communities in Kaikan and Parima, how does the Akawayo community get their services? What happens when there's a pensioner at Wariwanao in Region 9 who needs to collect the old age pension or has a query on the NIS payments? How are the people to be served? How do you get investment into your capital, into your region? How do you convert these rivers and savannas into a flourishing mini state? You have to strengthen your tongues.
The president said that people are looking to their municipalities for leadership and vision, and this must be provided. The president expressed the hope of seeing the capital tongues becoming hubs for ecotourism, even as Guyana continues to pursue a green economy, with each tongue adding value to products they have, making them attractive for tourists. Speaking on the transition of Guyana to a green state, the president said that greenness is not a fad. It is about proper disposal of solid waste, pointing to the fact that improper disposal of waste leads to the emergence of diseases. However, for the vision of national development to be realized, he said that it is imperative that every citizen work together. President Granger last week attended the inaugural Arabic Islamic American Summit, which was held in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia under the theme, Together We Prevail. The president used his attendance at the summit to support the position that terrorism is a transnational crime which requires a transnational response. The president, who is also the current chairman of the Caribbean Community CARICOM, also used the opportunity to advance the interests of small states with regard to their unique security challenges. The president said that global partnerships to combat terrorism cannot exclude small states, since conflict between and within such states or between small states and other states can endanger the peace of all countries. He said that the majority of the states of the world can be described as small states, and as such, the world cannot be made secure without addressing the threats faced by those countries. As the current chair of CARICOM, the president said that the regional body is a willing ally in the just war against terrorism and extremism. He said, too, that Guyana welcomes the partnership being forged to combat the global scourge and alluded to the fact that small states must remain integral to all partnerships even as the quest for a more comprehensive global agreement on terrorism is pursued with resolve. President Granger said that the Arabic Islamic American Summit is a bold initiative that seeks new approaches to build effective security partnerships to prepare for, to prevent, and to protect citizens from the threat of terrorism and violent extremism. And now we take a look inside the president's diary. President Granger said that the protected area system will be implemented through a regionalized approach countrywide, with green regions being administered by green capital towns. This would therefore require every citizen to exercise stewardship over the natural patrimony of their region, even as the Protected Areas Commission is expected to be the engine of green growth as the success of the Green Agenda will be determined by the efficacy of the Commission's work. On May 24, the President attended the Protected Areas Commission's 5th anniversary celebration, where he highlighted the critical role of conservation and said that it ensures sovereignty over the country's national patrimony and is one of the means through which citizens can exercise control over their territory.
Can you imagine Guyana without its mudlands on the coastland, without its hinterland grasslands, without its wetlands, without its highlands, without its islands and lakeland in the Essequibo, without its rainforests, its rivers and its waterfalls? What a barren, blighted and boring place. I won't be able to stay here. But by the grace of God, we're not a barren country, we're not a blighted country. We're a beautiful country, a blissful country, and a bountiful land.
President Granger, who is the current chairman of CARICOM, said that the erection of the arch donated by Ansa McCall on the east coast of Demerara is the exemplification of a strong public-private partnership between the country and the company and epitomizes the friendship between two Anglophone CARICOM states, Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago, particularly as it relates to their commitment to cooperation within CARICOM.
This arch also is not an ornament or an object of adoration. It is a shrewd industrial advertisement for Ansa McCall. It sends a signal to everyone who will drive beneath it that the Caribbean economy is vibrant. The Caribbean economy, like a rising tide, lifts all boats. What is good for one country is good for the entire community. What's good for Ansa McCall is good for Trinidad, it's good for Guyana, it's good for CARICOM.
The head of state added that the arch is now a permanent and precious landmark of the national capital. On Friday, June 2, the President attended the farewell parade of Assistant Commissioner of Police and head of the Presidential Guards Unit, Mr. Brian Joseph, which was held at the Durban Park. the Presidency and Beyond this week, we'll take a look at the lighter side of President David Granger as he joined his former history lecturer at the University of Guyana, distinguished historian and humanitarian Sister Mary Noel Maniz, for the launch of her book titled Guyana and the Wider World, which features a collection of her essays and addresses. The President said that Sister Maniz was a gifted teacher who used her skills to bring about change at a time when the country was undergoing massive struggles.
She was a standard bearer for those values, and those values are not subject to political whim. They're not subject to change of government. They're not subject to change in the regime. And they represent what she would like to feel were eternal values in society. And it is this attitude that she took into her academic career. That career reflected the values that she'd grown up with. She reflected the principles, the standards. And she never changed. And even if she lives to be 187, she's not going to get rid of those values. Those values are her whole life. Her Christianity, her culture. And that is what gave her a passion and her zeal.
The President spoke fondly of his interaction with Sister Maniz, describing her as a meticulous and dedicated teacher.
And when she ran the orphanage, I remember at one stage she asked me to record the army bugle calls to wake up the boys in the morning. So they got a tape with the reveille and the last post. So I said, I wish I had that Sergeant Major too. But she ran the orphanage along conventional lines. Of course, I don't think she could always cope with the boys, because once she tried to show them the sound of music. And she couldn't understand why the boys didn't like the sound of music. So she asked the boys what they wanted. Action, sister, action! They want action, they want to see Bruce Lee, they want to see blood. But I don't think sister really, she's more conventional.
He noted that Sister Maniz's students will never forget her because she helped them to develop their intellectual foundation, and this is quite evident in their accomplishments later in life. Past students include former UG Vice Chancellor Dr. James Rose, former Registrar Dr. David Chandrabali, former Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Mr. Carl Singh, former Dean of the School of Education and Humanities, Mr. Tota Mangar, UG's first master graduate, Dr. Basdeo Mangru, and of course, President Granger himself. Sister Maniz, who was born in 1930, is a nun, emeritus professor of history, philanthropist, author and recipient of the country's second highest national award, the Order of Roraima, as well as the Golden Arrowhead of Achievement. She also received an honorary Doctorate of Laws degree from the University of the West Indies. She joined the Religious Sisters of Mercy at the age of 17. And with that, we've come to the end of this week's program. Thank you for joining me. For regular updates on the Ministry of the Presidency, go to our website, www.motp.gov.gy. Like our Facebook page, Ministry of the Presidency, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MOTP Guyana. Do have a safe and productive rest of the week. Goodbye.